Big weekend for San Jose State last weekend on the road against SEC opponent Arkansas. Spartans with their first ever program win over a Southeastern Conference opponent. It was a 31-24 victory for San Jose State. The Spartans now 2-1. They'll stay on the road this week to open up Mountain West Conference play against the Air Force Academy Falcons on Friday this week. A kickoff for Mountain Time, 6 o'clock, Pacific Time, 5 o'clock. Coverage will be provided by CBS Sports Network. And of course, you can tune into the Spartan Radio Network beginning at 4:30 Pacific Time with the pregame show on 9:10 a.m. Real Talk. A couple of notes to pass along before we bring in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan. Josh Love, with his performance, the Spartan quarterback, was named Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. Career high 32 completions for Josh, and he was over 400 yards passing, including 2 touchdowns in the game against Arkansas. And then Bobby Brown, also a Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week in the Mountain West Conference. 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 of the 5 interceptions for San Jose State on the road last weekend. So a big week for San Jose State athletics as we welcome in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan.
Hello. Thank you for coming. It's great to have everybody here. Hope we see you again next week. Obviously, it was an amazing weekend for our team, and it's exciting to have that followed up with the recognition of Josh Love by the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week, and then also Bobby Brown as the Defensive Player of the Week. For me, the best thing that happened was that this team was recognized by the Well, hello. Yes.
You're good.
Okay. The best thing that happened was, the team was recognized as the National Football Team of the Week, and by the Football Writers Association of America, which is really what this game is. And we're excited for Josh and Bobby, but football is the ultimate team game, and this was the ultimate team win. I was extremely proud of our players, how they handled the environment, how they handled the crowd, the noise, how they handled the late run by Arkansas, and then found a way to win it when it was really intense and when the moment was really, at its peak. And that was really exciting to see. I thought our coaching staff did a fantastic job preparing our players for the game. We had a great game plan. It was well executed, and it was just fun to see us play good football. And that's something we've been talking about a lot with our team, is just being consistent and playing good football, blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, all the things that it takes to be consistent. So we have an incredible challenge this week with Air Force. They have an outstanding football team. They lost last week against Boise in a real battle, and the week before they went on the road and beat Colorado, a Pac-12 team. So this is an incredible challenge. Their scheme offensively presents a host of challenges and something we haven't seen for a year. And then, and then defensively, they're just solid. They play extremely hard. They know exactly what they're doing. Their discipline and their detail is evident in everything they do. So we had a good practice today, and we are excited about Arkansas, but, we're moving on. Although, let me say one more thing. We just had this incredible pep rally outside that was put on by Patrick Day, our Vice President for Student Affairs, and his staff, and the cheerleaders and the band and our team and a whole bunch of students. And it was just an awesome scene here on campus, and really something that I believe and our athletics director believes is that football can be a really powerful thing to bring a campus together. And we saw a glimpse of that today. So we're excited, but we are on to Air Force. Ready.
Good afternoon, Coach. First
Hello.
of all, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Considering just how big this win was for the program, and seeing the support, like you said, from the student body and the administration, what does that mean? Obviously considering also just how trying the last 2 seasons have been. What does that mean to you, just as the head coach of this team?
Well, I think it's a sign that we can do it here, that we can build a program here that is something everybody on campus can be proud of. I know through our Beyond Football program, we've spent a lot of time the last 2 years in the campus engagement phase of volunteering on campus, being involved on campus, showing up, trick-or-treating with local kids on campus, and the Ask Me tents, hosting those, and on the Admitted Spartan Day, passing out flyers and meeting people and trying to engage our campus in a meaningful way, which is a little bit tricky because of the separation, the physical separation between South Campus and Main Campus. But, as a head coach, I look at it and I'm very appreciative of the administration, from our president, her cabinet, all the way down, through our athletics director, and what they think we can build here. And something like this today is just another indication that this can be a great part of this campus, and athletics can contribute to the experience for everybody here in a positive way, provided we do things the right way, which we are working really hard to do.
How's it going, Coach? Felix Oliveros with the Spear. So you kind of touched on it. Arkansas is brought a different offense that threw the ball 50 times. And you're going to be seeing Air Force with their heavy run game. What are some of the challenges adjusting to a new offense that you haven't seen much of?
That's a good question. The thing that Air Force does is because they're always some kind of option scheme, so double option, triple option, and then I would say the difference between kind of stereotypical option teams and Air Force is that Air Force throws the ball quite well also. Lots of times when you're playing option teams, they're really one-dimensional. Even though it's hard to stop, you're heavily focused on the run game. But Air Force throws the ball really well too. So they spread you out, they stretch you really thin, and it's one of those deals where you have to play assignment sound football. You have to be exactly right. It is the ultimate do your job. Like, we don't need any supermen out there. We don't need guys making stuff up, or we need people to do their job and execute the details of their assignment. It gives us a chance to be sound in both the run and pass game against such a good group.
Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you just kind of tell me about the raw emotion that you felt immediately after the game? I know, like, after that post-game interview on the field, I think you were, like, running to your team straight after. So you just talk to me about how you felt.
I think there's something incredibly special about doing something that people don't think you can. And it wasn't so much for me as it was for our players, right? 2 weeks ago in a similar situation, somewhere late in that game, we lost our belief that we could. And that was something that we had talked about a lot all through the week, the bye week and the week leading up to the game, because of, there's moments where we're playing really good football and really clean football. And then, something bad happens, and then we don't answer. We don't, rally. And so that was our focus of like, hey, you're going to make a mistake. And when you do, come to the sideline and your teammates will be there for you. And come to the sideline and your coaches will be there for you. And come to the sideline and I'll be there for you. We're with you. We are all in this thing. And so I think that was those conversations of building up, and then to see them, they make a run late in that game and it's tied when we had been in pretty good control. And that would have been one of those moments where we didn't answer. But we line up and we go 75 yards in 2 minutes with just incredible execution, incredible poise, and incredible belief. Like that was, we talked about as a team, the voice on the sideline was so positive. Players cheering on other players, coaches, everybody. People were intense and excited, but they were so supportive and so positive. And that's what you need in those moments, right? In those moments when it's really tough, you need to know that everyone believes that you can. And it was just tremendous to see them answer that. So that was, I think, just the culmination of all that. And being in that, it was so loud on that last drive. I mean, it was epic. And then so I think about those few plays, the 2 great throws by Josh to Jaquan and to Trey, and then the run by Pack, and then the play by Bobby is just this, this super small window of like all these incredible football plays. It's just overwhelming, and to see the joy on their face, I think that was part of it too, just to see how that felt for the players. And my hope is that they loved it and they want more of that.
Coach, we have one member of the media on the phone here today. It's another Brent Brigham from the Colorado Springs Gazette. Brent, one question for Coach.
Yeah, Coach, I know, at Media Day you talked a lot about the amount of young players who played last year and the year before that, especially last year. Do you think, had they not had that experience to build from, they would have had that belief on Saturday to finish that game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, the hard part about playing young players is that you deal with some immaturity. you deal with a little bit of like not understanding just the speed of the college game and what that is. But when they're in it and they're young, you know, we're still a pretty young football team. I think we've got 14 seniors, but a lot of those young players have been through a lot of the fires and have been in a lot of those battles and have a sense of what it feels like and what it takes. And so, you know, I do think it helped them, you know, kind of answer that and be able to handle that moment. And then I think there was some really key leadership on both sides of the ball that kept that belief strong and were kind of, you know, calming, you know, forces, you know, in the offensive and defensive huddles.
Hey, Coach, Ernie Gonzalez with the Spear.
Hi, Ernie.
Those white jerseys you guys wore at Arkansas.
You like the icy whites?
Yeah, they're pretty clean.
Yeah.
But they were clean before the game and they were clean after the game. Just want your take on, you know, what you think about them, and then if we're gonna see more of those all white uniform combo later this year.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's a really good look for us, and I think, you know, kind of one of those things in college football that you've seen the whole world go crazy on the uniform front, and we really wanted to have some ability to have some variety for our players, but also to present a really clean, kind of unified look. And so this year when we received the generous donation to get new helmets for the team, we decided to go to that white. And, you know, first time in all whites, we had a good result. So I think you're going to see more of it.
Austin Turner of the Spear. Congratulations, Coach. I saw in your post-game speech you mentioned something to degree of I didn't see 173 points on the scoreboard, obviously in reference to some comments made by Arkansas players. I'm wondering, is that something you guys use to motivate your team all throughout the week? Did you mention that in practice, Arkansas, how confident they were, and do you think that helped you on Saturday?
You know, I think all of it helped. I think the world we live in, or better said, the world our players live in is so complicated with social media, right? Like, I think about, you know, when I was a player, like someone wasn't going to get the number to my dorm room. And like, you know what I mean? Now people can find you and they can instantly talk to you, harass you. They can, you know, I mean, it's so interesting to be a student athlete in this day and age. And so, you know, that interview, you know, that young man had some comments about how he thought the game was going to go. And obviously that was something that, you know, our players grabbed a hold of. It wasn't even, not very much to do with me or our staff at all. And so I think that's you know, those comments were in the locker room after the game, but it was kind of the culmination of that emotion and how that felt, and them overcoming this, you know, what everyone told them, you know, you can't do.
What's going on, Coach? So you mentioned the emotional impact of this game. We saw, you know, snippets of the post-game locker room and how excited you guys were, but how do you keep your team grounded and keep the focus, you know, intact heading into the game against Air Force? Obviously, I know it's a tough feat, but how do you plan on doing that?
Well, you know, we told them we give them 24 hours to celebrate it, and we probably extended that a little longer because of the pep rally today. But really, this morning it was all about Air Force, right? We talked about the Arkansas game very little, and it was moving on because we know what a challenge this is, right? We're playing an incredibly good team. We're on the road, elevation, right? All these things, a scheme that's very, very challenging. And it's challenged us, you know, both times we've played something similar since I've been here. So they know what's coming. And so it was really, we had a great practice today. And so I'm encouraged because there was that sense from them that they were excited about what happened on Saturday, but let's go. Let's get working on this next one.
How's it going, Coach? Kellen Constantine here with the Spear. Congratulations on the win again, and real great performance from Trey Walker. He had 12 catches, no touchdowns, but 161 yards. How important do you think he was to this victory on the road?
Well, I think he was critical. He made some huge plays in that game, and it was really exciting to see him and Josh connect the way they did. And I thought he did a great job running routes, attacking the football. He did a great job, working back to the football, got a PI late in the game, that helped keep the chains moving for us, which was a really critical play. And then, he's dynamic with the ball in his hand. So I'm really encouraged by kind of the development of that wide receiver group. I think even though, there's some young players, those guys are starting to grow up, and it's been fun to watch.
Coach, going to head back to the phones now. Brent, another question for Coach?
Yeah, I realize it's a short week to prepare for Air Force, but because you have Army in a month, have you been doing a lot of triple option principles leading up to this, and will maybe that short week not be quite as impactful because of that?
I think time will tell whether the short week is impactful or not. There's definitely been a triple option emphasis for us, knowing that we had two teams on the schedule. So that was something that we visit in spring practice and in training camp, and then a little bit during the bye week. So just trying to train our eyes, get us acclimated to. It's so different than anything else you see. So there's definitely been a good amount of work done on that, and whether or not the short week impacts us or not, time will tell. I thought we had a good practice today, and the players were, excited to go. So that's the biggest thing, is going to depend on what kind of work we get done this week. Short week's a short week. I don't get to fix it or change it, so we got to deal with it and keep moving.
Coach Felix again. So there's a possibility you could win 2 in a row. It hasn't been done since 2014. Just want to know if does that serve any motivation, and what would that mean for you in the program?
Well, I don't even know that we're really thinking about that outside of the fact that good teams find a way to win, to stack wins. And so if we want to be a good team, this is just the next step. I think there's, some added importance because it's a conference game, right? So, we still have one non-conference game left, but this is our opener of Mountain West play, which is critical for us. So, how quickly can we get ready, and how well can we execute on the road in a big conference battle like this?
Spear again. I want to go back to Arkansas one more time. You talked about how much it meant to this program and this team to get that win. I want to know how much it means to you personally. Obviously, caught a lot of heat over the last 2 years. Your post-game interview with the SEC Network, you mentioned it's been a really hard 2 years, almost broke down. What does it mean to finally get that validation? Do you like you actually belong here after everyone's saying you don't?
Well, I think when you're a head football coach, you have to get good at knowing or believing in your process. And that, when we talked about the 2 years, I was talking, it's been a hard 2 years for the kids, It's different when people are saying things about you and you're a grown-up, I'm 46 years old, whatever, right? But when you're 18 years old or 20 years old, that stuff hurts. And so it's been a really hard 2 years for those guys, battling through the adversity of rebuilding a program. And, I don't know that I feel like beating Arkansas is any kind of validation. Like, let's talk at the end of the season. Let's see where we're at, in 6 weeks in terms of what kind of move we've made as a team.
Coach, your running backs coach, Alonzo Carter, right? We saw how much this weekend meant to him after the game. Can you speak to just how much he's meant to you as one of your assistants, and just what he's brought to the table from the coaching perspective, and also his emotional support?
Yeah, Coach Carter is a special guy, and the reason that I hired Zoe to join us here was because I've watched him positively impact young people's lives for 20 years. McClymonds High School, Berkeley High School, Contra Costa Junior College, and I saw this incredible impact, his incredible ability to relate to people, and so he's been such a fun part of this staff. Obviously, as you know, he's a great human being. He's a great personality, but he's also a really good coach. And he has a great rapport with his players. You see how those backs are performing. We've played good teams, and we've ran the ball efficiently. And so, he kind of has all those, characteristics that you want in an assistant coach. And then it helps me and him having that history together. But the other part of that is I feel great about all our coaches. I think we're incredibly blessed here with an outstanding coaching staff. and a coaching staff that has been loyal to San Jose State and fortunately loyal to me, and for the most part has stuck through this process of rebuilding the program. So I'm incredibly appreciative of Zoe and all of our assistants.
Hey, Coach, Gerard Gajola from the Spear. You're coming off a great win against Arkansas, and they play in a conference that's just known for their physical brand of football. What can you take from that physicality moving forward along the season?
Well, I think, we're going to get an incredible test of physicality Friday night, and that's something that we have to prepare for and be ready for because of who we're playing and the type of team they play, right, or type of football they play. So I think playing the difference is that you're playing an SEC school, and they've got a bunch of big bodies, right? Big, long, athletic bodies. Now you come to the Air Force Academy, and they have some of those, but they don't have a team of those, right? What they got is a bunch of badass dudes that like to play football and are going to do it right every time. And so it's going to be, like these guys are being trained to defend our country. I'm pretty sure they're going to be physical, right? And watch the tape. That's how they are. They are violent and nasty, and we got to be ready for that.
Coach, your defense, very stingy, obviously, in Arkansas, but where, 5 interceptions, right? That's 5 interceptions, 5 interceptions. Where's your defense now, and where do you think it could go?
Well, I think they're just getting started. I really do. I thought that was a great day for us on the defensive side of the ball. They also had the 2 fourth-down stops in the first half, which are essentially turnovers to me. And so you're talking about a 7-turnover game. And the thing that was exciting is that we finished those plays when the ball was in the air, right? How often do you see a DB or a linebacker reach up and tip it and drop it? But I've never been a part of a 5-interception game, and I was just so happy for those kids because they finished the plays and just all the work that Coach Odom and Coach Williams have done with that group and that's their routine, right? They start off every practice catching balls, running to the post, jumping, high pointing the ball. The exact play that Bobby made to win the game, he's done that 500 times in the last month at practice. And so, I thought those guys have done a great job because a year ago there were a lot of opportunities where we got our hands on passes but didn't finish it with the interception. And so, and then that also plays to kind of our mission, or one of our missions for this year is to get in the top 25 in the turnover margin. And so a huge jump like Saturday helps that too, which gives you a chance to win football games if you're going to win the turnover battle.
Coach, coming in to this season, we've seen a lot from Nick Nash. He's been really running the ball very well for us. How do you feel that the future for the program is going to be with him at the quarterback?
Well, I think it's going to be really fun to watch because we've got 3 other quarterbacks in that group, and this spring is going to be a battle. Obviously that's far off in the future, but when you think about that group, Alex Trujillo has had a fantastic fall, and he's traveling and he's ready to play, and then Chance LaChapelle, played a year ago and continues to improve and grow. And then Jake Simmons also. So there's going to be an all-out war for that position in the spring, which I love because they just need to drive that competition and make it harder on each other. But obviously Nick is getting some of that right now because Nick gives us something a little different than Josh does with his ability to run the football. And obviously that showed up on Saturday on a big stage. So, I think it's great for us to have that option with Nick, and it's also great for Nick's development because against Tulsa you saw him also throw the ball pretty well. So, and Nick's a freshman. Chance is a sophomore. No, Chance is a freshman. Yeah, so redshirt freshman Chance. Nick's a sophomore. Simmons is a sophomore. And Nash is a freshman, right? Okay. So two freshmen, 1 sophomore is what we got behind that group, which is really an interesting mix of kids. So they're young, but they're hungry and they work incredibly hard. And they're all, chomping at the bit for their opportunity. So it's fun.
Coach, again, back to the phones. Brent, another question for Brent.
That's funny.
Yeah, just last couple of years, Air Force has kind of struggled against the pass, and obviously you come in with an offense that's 400. Do you see that as an area that might kind of determine how this game goes? And what kind of wrinkles have you seen from Air Force in the secondary so far this season?
You know, I think the biggest thing for us to have a chance to beat Air Force is actually we need to be able to run the football. And that's been something, you know, we've ran it effectively the last couple of weeks, but we haven't really, you know, kicked the door down in that regard. So that's a really important thing for us is to be able to run the football. I think Josh is playing well and has been really efficient and good with his decision making. But, you know, our thought process would kind of be a little bit of the opposite of your question. We believe we have to be able to run the football to get done what we want to get done Friday night.
Kind of following up on that, you know, we've talked about, you know, Josh's ups and downs with this in this program over the last few years. Do you see Saturday as kind of a breakthrough performance for Josh, and how do you think that confidence is going to carry over for the rest of the season for him?
I think Josh probably thinks it's just what he does. You know, like the numbers were big, but he's had big number games in the past. I think the fact that he's a senior, and now kind of what you hope for your players as they grow and develop in your program is that those reps stack and they start to accrue, and eventually they get to a place where they can just play. And I think that's what you saw in that last drive from him. I feel like that's what you've seen a lot this year, because he's pretty high completion percentage and he's throwing for a good, you know, yards per pass. And so I think that all those reps starting to stack for him, those opportunities, seeing so much of it, you're seeing him play with some confidence and some real poise. Like, we were on the sideline with that huddle at the end of the game, and the big voices in that huddle were Josh and Troy Kowalski, our offensive lineman, who's a senior also. And it was like, I did not say anything. They were like, we got this, let's go. And that kind of poise and that kind of confidence comes from playing as much as those guys have. All right, thank you.
All right, that does it for this week's press conference. Once again, San Jose State out on the road to take on Air Force this Friday, 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time, 4:30 with the pregame show on 9:10 a.m. in the Spartan Radio Network. CBS Sports Network will carry the action on the TV side. And for everybody out there that is thinking about the next home game, that's October 4th against New Mexico, a Friday evening from CEFCU Stadium, 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com for tickets and more information. Thanks so much, and we'll catch you next time.